Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we're going to take a look at some of my recent Dino-Scores, as I would like to call them. Just basically a few dinosaur figures that I had recently found for some good, decent prices, and I was interested in showing off to you guys to see if any of you were interested in them. So, the very first one that I got was this guy, and this guy, which I can not fit in frame right now until I pick up the camera. This is an old Sega T-Rex, and I really thought that he was beautiful. It was a figure that I did not have, and one that is obviously really hard to find. It's not something you see around too often, so when I saw it for sale on eBay, I put a bid in right away. I ended up having to spend about 40 bucks to get it, which was probably a little more than I would have liked. I think it was like 38 something or somewhere along those lines. It's probably more than I, again, would have liked for a cheaper price tag on it, so this isn't really that great of a deal, but I was really excited in general to have this Tyrannosaurus Rex figure because, as I said, it's pretty old now. It's, I'm pretty certain, quite long and discontinued, and something that's pretty hard to find. So for me to score one at all, I was really excited about it. It overall looks really beautiful with its paint applications, fairly basic, but it's got a fairly nice looking sculpt, and in general looks really cool. I'm definitely a big fan of this figure, so I was really pleased to get one, again for probably a fairly decent price, but it could have been cheaper, I guess. I also got this guy, which, if any of you know, this is the Schleich Tyrannosaurus Rex. It is a very old, long discontinued Schleich Tyrannosaurus Rex, and he's probably one of the ugliest Tyrannosaurus Rex figures that they've ever produced, but for some stupid reason, I don't know why, I've always wanted one. I don't know if it's just because he's got that very vintage tripod type of a look with the dragging tail, and I love vintage dinosaurs, but at the same time he somehow has kind of a Jurassic Park type of an appearance with the head sculpt, so he's sort of like a mix between Jurassic Park and a vintage Rex, which I for some reason really quite like. I definitely think it's very nicely detailed overall, but obviously, as you could tell, an incredibly inaccurate looking Tyrannosaurus Rex and a very long outdated sculpt. However, I did not own the figure before, so I was quite interested in picking one up. I paid about $7 for this guy, and I thought that was a steal for how long this thing's been discontinued and how old it is, so I was really excited to get one for that price. I also picked up this guy, and this one is a TS Toys Lioplorodon, and now I had heard that this is actually a bootleg of the Walking with Dinosaurs one, but the images that I've seen of the Lioplorodon from Walking with Dinosaurs kind of looks a little different than this guy. I think it had an open mouth and everything, so unless there was a figure that I was unaware of, maybe this isn't a bootleg of that. I'm not really sure. However, it's still a really quite nice looking figure, and I didn't really know too much before of the TS Toys figures, so when I found this I was quite intrigued by it. I only paid about 25 bucks for it, and I know these figures are really rare, so that's probably a pretty good price for this, but considering its rarity, I was excited to get it and own it in my collection. Again, I spent a little more on this one than I would have liked, but considering I've never even seen one on eBay before, I really couldn't pass up the opportunity to get one. I was also able to find two Dino Riders figures at a local flea market for $1 each, so I was able to score the Dimetrodon and the Styracosaurus, which you can see these are not very good figures, but I was really excited to get them regardless. I was a big fan of Dino Riders back in the day when I was a child, so anything associated with them is okay by me, and even though they're not the most beautifully sculpted or beautifully painted figures or anything, they really have a great vintage feel, and they just kind of tug at my heartstrings as far as my childhood goes, so I was definitely interested enough to purchase them both easily for $1. I was really excited about it and grabbed them right away. Very cool looking figures. I was also able to score, and he's upside down, but this guy here, which was the Hatch and Play Baby Blue. I did not have this guy, so I saw this guy up on one of the Facebook Jurassic Park groups that I go on that was for sale, and someone was selling him for only $5, so I jumped on that deal right away, also because they were also selling this Dilophosaurus for $5, and if you are familiar with this Dilophosaurus, this is the one that was kind of like a Kohl's exclusive. It was part of a 2-pack, and The other part of the 2-pack was a Dimorphodon that we had released prior to this in a different set, so he was very much easily accessible, but the Dilophosaurus was only in that one set. Now, I know he has shown up in a few other places like Barnes & Noble, but regardless, I never found one in my area, and I actually went to a few different states. Whenever I was going on vacation or on trips anywhere, I would always stop at different Kohls to try to find one, and I found all of the other 2-packs but this one. So when I saw this one for sale, I was beyond excited. For $5, I've been trying to track this guy down since last year when the Jurassic World toy line started, and this guy started to show up in Kohl's, and I was never able to find one, and I had pretty much given up hope of ever finding one because on eBay they're probably about $60 or $70 regularly for what you would have to pay for some third-party seller to get you one. And again, I was just always unable to find one. Once I saw him for sale for only $5, and this guy was $5 plus shipping, which was like $5, so it was around like $15 for both of these. That was beyond a great deal in my opinion, and I scooped them both up immediately. I also got some fantastic Invicta figures, and this is one that I have wanted for so long. That is the Megalosaurus from Invicta. I've been a big fan of this for a very long time, but was never able to score one for a decent price. And they also had the baryonyx included, so this is one that I wasn't on the hunt for because I really wanted to get the Megalosaurus first, but it was one that I was going to get to eventually. I really wanted, and luckily I was able to get them both together, and I think it was like $13-14, something like that. I can't remember exactly what the price was, but I was able to score them both on eBay for a very decent price, something that I felt was well worth the price of admission for both of these figures. The Invicta figures I feel like are very underrated, really nice sculpts for their time, and overall have a very beautiful vintage appearance to them. So I was really happy to get both of these. And if any of you follow my Instagram, a few of you probably knew of some of these deals already, but you would also know that I was able to, wow, his legs are really terrible, but I was also able to score this Indominus, this Hasbro screw hole filled Indominus, at a yard sale for $5. So for $5, I could not pass it up. I do already have one of these, so I'm considering maybe repainting it at some point, but it's not really the most appealing figure in the world, and don't really know if it's worth pursuing with a repaint. I may just keep it to have in the collection and have another one, but regardless, for $5, I could absolutely not say no, because anything Jurassic really has a place in my collection, even if it is kind of an ugly figure. And now the thing that I was most excited about when it came to all of these, because it's a score that I was beyond excited about finding for this price, I got some Resaurus figures. If any of you are aware of these or know of them, they were, well, he does not want to stand at all. They were very articulated, very nice looking dinosaur models for their time. I'm just going to put him like that. This one is the Giganotosaurus, and I was actually able to score 2 Giganotosaurus. Oh, wait a minute, that's not all. I was also able to score a T-Rex, and another T-Rex, and a Raptor, and another Raptor, and another Raptor, and another Raptor. So basically I got 2 of each of the different Resaurus figures, and I only paid $15 for all of them. That is an insane deal considering how old these are and how rare they are. They're very hard to find, and you can buy them normally on eBay fairly easily, and they're fairly accessible, but you're going to pay a decent price usually for each one. I know a lot of the old Resaurus figures had bases, and these ones do not have bases, and they are a little beat up. Some of them have some rips and tears, like I think the Giganotosaurus. It's a little hard to see them from back here. They have some tears in the tails and stuff, but for the most part, they are in fairly decent shape. A funny little story about these guys is about 10 years ago, there was a claw machine at my local mall, and they actually had these figures in them, and I spent quite a bit of money trying to win each and every one of them for my son because he was throwing a fit about how much he wanted them, and me loving dinosaurs and always wanting to please my children, I spent a ton of money to try to win each and every one of them for him, but deep down there was this little hint of jealousy in me, as I really wanted them for myself too, but really wanted to give them to him since he's the one that spotted them and wanted them, and I did. I gave them to him, and I've spent years kind of wanting them, but obviously I can't take them from my son, so he had the pleasure of owning these Resaurus figures, And then luckily the other day I was able to spot these guys on Facebook Marketplace. Someone was selling them for $15 for this entire lot of all of these figures, and I jumped on it so fast I can't even tell you how quickly I was messaging that seller, and now I am super excited to have these finally in my collection, along with all these other dinosaur figures that I just showed you guys. So if any of these figures are something you would like to see reviewed here on the channel, because they're all fairly older figures, I don't know if anyone's interested in them, let me know in the comments, guys, because if you guys are interested in individual reviews of any of these figures you've seen in this video today, I would be more than happy to throw them up on the channel and review them for you. So again, in the comments, let me know your thoughts, guys, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.